This slide says, create a fraction model with a denominator of 10 that has the same value as 80 hundredths. This is a tie-in with equivalent fractions. So you're just making an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 10 and then a denominator of 100. But it's also kind of related to decimals, because if we are talking about tenths, then the model looks like this. If we're talking about hundredths, you would just imagine that this is a grid instead, and there's 100 little pieces. But every one of these is 10, 20, 30, 40. So one thing you could do is just color this in till you get to 80, and then look and see how many tenths that is. So like 10, 20, 30, 40, and fill it in to get to 80, and then you're done. But it's good to also think about this like equivalent fractions. So for example, they're asking us to create a fraction model with a denominator of 10 that has the same value as 80 hundredths. When you make an equivalent fraction, you have to do the same thing to the denominator as you do to the numerator. So you have to think about, how did this 10 turn into 100? Because whatever this did, we have to do it up here, right? So 10 times 10 equals 100, which means this times 10 equals 80. You can also think of it like division. Multiplication and division go together. So 10 divided by 10 equals, or I'm sorry, 100 divided by 10 equals 10. So 80 divided by 10 equals, Always, always, if these ones trick you, draw a fact triangle. It will help a ton. So here's what I mean. Let me grab another piece of paper for you. Okay, so all right, we're saying question mark times 10 equals 80. Question mark times 10 equals 80, or 80 divided by 10 equals, Well, anytime that you divide by 10, you're just taking away a 0. So 80 divided by 10 is 8. And you can check it. 8 times 10 is 80. So this here is an 8. 10 times 10 is 100, and 8 times 10 is 80. So these are equivalent fractions because we did the same thing to the denominator as the numerator. 100 divided by 10 is 10, and 80 divided by 10 is 8. So coming back to this then, we said our fraction is 8 tenths. That equals this. So we would just fill in 8 of these. Okay, there I've filled in 8 tenths. And you can check that it's 80 because each one of these is worth 1/10 or 10. If you think of this as a grid, like if it were divided up like this. If this is now divided into hundredths, each one of these is 10. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hundredths, or 8 tenths. And on your computer, again, you can watch the tech video and it'll show you how to shade this on a computer. But what you're going to do is you're going to click with one finger, not on this, but just right outside it, and then use another finger on your trackpad to scroll up and over, and then you can select all 8 of these. And then it'll be selected, and then just go up to the paint bucket, click on the paint bucket, and you can dye them all any color you want all at the same time. You can also click on each one and dye it separately or paint it separately. It just takes a little bit longer.